His food focus is crazy. And then also, like show day, I find you really annoying.
I wasn't expecting you to say that.
Yeah.
Welcome back to the YouTube that I have taken over, which is actually Danny's YouTube. We're here in a little bit of a different format today. We've managed to drag Jake to the Isle of Man for the first time ever. Yeah, what a treat. He is both of Danny and I's coach. He's obviously the founder of Amplified Nutrition. Many accolades, 25 overalls, 121 first places, 299 top threes, 5 IFBB pros and 1 PCA pro, being myself, of course. Jake, obviously, I should have brought the pro card with me.
It must be annoying that you're on 299 then.
I think it's actually more than that, and I just haven't updated it. I think I might have missed the last two shows
We'll have to
of
redo
season.
that whole thing.
So I think it might actually be 300. Just over. I think it's 302 maybe.
Sorry, 302 then. 302
We'll
top,
go with it.
Top threes, we'll go with it. But yeah, Jake, if you want to kind of introduce yourself.
Yeah, so Jake Watts, Amplified Nutrition, as Christy said. So I feel like I'm old as I start to talk about this stuff now. Like I feel like I'm ancient. But hopefully I don't look at it.
Been coaching since you were born.
Coaching since Danny was in nappies, and I haven't really. So yeah, online coach and competitive online coach now for I think 7 years. Probably consider myself a bit of a veteran with it now. I think.
Yeah.
I feel like
a dinosaur.
Everyone's doing it now, and I feel like I was probably one of the earlier ones. So yeah. I won't run over my accolades because you've already gone through them. But I like to consider myself I'm not too bad at this stuff. So yeah, I'm over here today to spend some time with these guys, and I've got quite a few other clients over this side as well now. So yeah, looking forward to this. Probably going to get drilled on some questions. Hopefully us three together won't fall out as I have to answer some of the questions. Going to start getting some weird looks when I have to answer some.
Christy's cardio goes up tomorrow.
Yeah.
Don't think it'd go up anymore.
Yeah, maybe. But yeah, looking forward to the weekend and just looking forward to get stuck in. Season starts in a week, so first show of the season is next week. So the chaos starts then for the next 7 months. I'm pretty much all over Europe. We're kicking off. We're allowed to say, aren't we?
Yeah, we're allowed to say.
So yeah, we're kicking off. I've got Germany first with some other clients. I've got Sweden with Christy, Ireland with Christy. And there's going to be plenty more. So yeah, looking forward to doing a bit of jet setting again this year. Isle of Man being the most important visit of
the first one.
Yeah, the first one.
Visit in Europe.
There's no shows here. Maybe you can sponsor one on the island.
Only because you two will probably win them.
Yeah.
The judge is my mum and my dad.
Yeah. Imagine.
So
wonderful.
yeah, that's probably me.
Danny?
So I'm Danny. I've been with Jake since I want to say 22.
Yes.
End of that. So I did my first season with a local coach, and then decided to take it up a notch and actually go to someone who had prepped multiple, not even just winners, but just multiple people for shows, because that sort of experience was lacking from my previous coach. And then it just kind of, I would say I turned from a boy into a man.
Boy to man.
Yeah.
I even filled out my beard. It was great. And then we've done, God, I should have the list, shouldn't I? I'd say it's probably around 18 top threes reviews across maybe like 14 shows, I think it is. So eventually got that first place.
And
nearly
overall.
died trying.
Yeah. And overall.
Yeah, that was good.
Overall, that day was like the best day ever.
Apart
we were both crying. Like,
Christy was on 800 calories. And all you could hear was the screaming.
Did we ever tell you the story about being in the back of that car? Because we had to get up at...
Oh, we had to leave at 4 a.m.
It was East Anglia, wasn't it? It was not like Norwich way, wasn't
it?
it?
And he had to drive, and obviously I was like a few days out.
Yeah, because I said you can't drive.
I was asleep on the back seat of the car.
She had a Valium as well. She had no idea where she was.
I had no idea, and I flew off the back seat into the floor.
I turned around and she's like this with the pillow, and I was like, "Sorry, I didn't see that coming." I was just like, I had it in automatic cruise, and then.
I can imagine at this point you got some abuse at that point as well.
No, I don't think she was. I think she was
still asleep.
Yeah, I wasn't even.
Probably thought she was dreaming.
I had full on like pillow and duvet and that in the back.
But she had concussion then.
It was well worth it. So yeah, you got your.
The drive home wasn't very fun though, was it?
No, but that's fine. You got the sword.
Yeah, I was driving home with the sword. So yeah,
Yeah.
that's kind of me.
That was the bit that was a shitter for me about that though, was that was the only
It's the
show
only
I
one you've
missed.
missed.
Yeah,
That's
well,
the
that's the
only
only one you
one.
missed.
Yeah, it's the only one you've missed. The one that mattered. You have to come to every one now.
That's
Or maybe the
still
one
mind.
that, maybe the one I want to win. I'll just tell you to stay at home.
Yeah.
You look at it that way.
Maybe I'm the bad luck omen.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, there's I've got some plans this year, but I'm not 100% on them yet. We'll have a check in person tomorrow and see what you think. If I'm dense enough.
I mean, you look pretty dead sitting there.
Yeah,
mate.
I'm pretty dense. I'm sitting at like it was 99.5. I didn't check in, but it was 99.5, and it's holding there now. Appetite's good, but I don't know if it's a bad thing.
But you can always tell by your the thickness of your neck.
You can tell.
Like,
You can tell by like how heavy I breathe. Normally.
yeah, like Darth Vader, 24/7.
I got woke up at like 1 a.m. this morning. She was like, "You're snoring," and I was like, "That's because I'm asleep." And then that was me. Then I was like, "I'm just gonna snore. I don't care. You've already had 9 hours sleep by that time in the morning."
Yeah, I am sleeping pretty well, which is wonderful.
We take it. I'm happy about that.
Yeah, me too.
I keep asking you pretty much every day, and you're like, "Yep, still good." I'm like, "All right, cool. This
I was
is still
complaining
lasting."
this morning. I was like, oh, I had such a bad sleep last night, and I checked. It was like 7
hours,
hours,
yeah.
7 hours 45
'Cause
minutes.
I woke her up at like 10 to 2, and I'm like, "You get up at 2 anyway."
Yeah, I do go.
Mate, then 10 minutes, mate.
Yeah, but that's just her because she's agitated because she's about to wake up.
Yeah.
When you've had more than 12 hours sleep, you don't need any more.
I know, but I want to sleep more. I think that's a good
I've
thing.
had like 5.
Have you? Yeah. I don't know how you function.
Yeah.
You want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, I am Christy. I was going to say Curfy then. Christy Hands now. Wifey. Danny's wife. I have been with. How long have I been with you for? Because I
2013.
originally.
We originally had an initial spat, didn't we?
I originally signed up with you, but that was more lifestyle because I was like, I'm never going on stage ever again. I'm never going on stage. What's not for me. And actually, me and Lauren were chatting about this morning because that was about the time after I finished with you, and then Danny kind of took me on for a little bit. I was still training the whole time, but I dragged Lauren to the gym, like on a random day. She was like, "Fine, I'll come," and it was almost like a butterfly effect.
And she had not been trained, never
She'd
trained.
never
She'd never
trained
been in the
before.
gym.
And she came in, and Danny was like, "I'll coach you if you stay
I said I'll give you access to the app and I'll set you up if you come in every day
for
train
3
with Christy
weeks."
for 3 weeks. And on the 3rd week, she come in and she was like, "Can I have the app now?" So I stuck her on the app, and then
Yeah.
she felt like she was part of the.
And then since then,
Never-
I was
never
like,
missed a day
"Oh,
since.
no, she hasn't missed a day since." And that was like, yeah, like proper butterfly effect. Like from that point, it was like I've kind of gave me like a purpose to train
Yeah.
with somebody, and then it was like to be a little bit more accountable. And then obviously I decided I wanted to compete and came.
Yeah, because I think it would
Came
have
back.
been October. I think, was it like October
It
20?
was when we got back from
Turkey.
Turkey was August. I started prep in September. and
Yeah,
then
I was going to say
started
it was October 23, I think
Yeah,
it was.
just
wasn't
after I got my teeth, or was it my boobs? Post boobs,
it?
yeah.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was.
Yeah,
then,
it was. And then yeah.
Yeah, you
that's
get the motivated Christy, the one that wants to do stuff. And when I was coaching her, she just wanted to drink every weekend.
Yeah.
and her and Lauren would get in at like 3 a.m.
Well, to
and
be
I'd
fair, if we remember the first time round when she came to me, I think it lasted about 4 weeks.
Yeah, it wasn't long.
It was like a couple of months, I think.
And I was just like, wasn't
because you were
really.
going out on the weekends and you were going to your mum's for like little parties and stuff.
I wasn't really interested, but I think that I don't know. I've just totally
You still went to
changed,
the gym,
like,
you still
my
trained,
ways.
but
I
you
don't
just
know.
didn't-
Yeah, I always trained.
It
That's
was
one
always the
thing that I
weekend
was
she'd screw
always
up.
good at, was that I always trained. I was just a bit.
I had her
bit
checking in
fat,
on
to
a
be
Saturday.
honest.
She'd check in on a Saturday and then she'd like check in, do her scales, do all that sort of stuff, and then she'd just go and like have pizza for dinner on Saturday. She'd be like, "Oh, that'll be gone by next Saturday."
Was you two like living together and stuff at this
Yeah,
point?
yeah.
Still?
Yeah.
We've lived together for 9 years.
Have you
Yeah.
really lived together that long?
Yeah,
Yeah.
we've been together.
Oh, wow.
This is coming into year 11 now.
Yeah, I didn't realise you lived
I'm
together
getting stuff
that
like 10
Yeah.
years ago, and it's like me and her, and I've got no facial hair.
Yeah. So that's why when we got engaged, it was like, oh my god, finally! Like,
Yeah.
how has this taken so long?
I was waiting for the right moment, wasn't
Yeah.
I? I was making sure.
Making sure what I was the right one.
right one,
10 years down the
Yeah,
line,
yeah,
they're
yeah,
pretty worried if she
yeah.
wasn't.
Divorce is expensive, so
Yeah, for sure. It is.
I had to make sure I was 100% certain.
That makes sense.
You still haven't finished your introduction.
Oh, where was I?
So
Yeah, I've been with Jake for on and off since
Well, yeah,
2022.
year and a half now.
Is that right?
Yeah.
But solidly for a year and a half. We had a very successful season last year. Obviously got my PCA Pro card, and then I think I got 7.
As a first timer.
As a first timer, I got 2 overalls, both in PCA, and then I got 7 class wins in NPC. And then I just missed out on the IFBB Pro card in
Ireland.
Portugal,
And
which
Ireland.
was a sore one for sure. But I will say I don't think that I would have pushed as hard as I have in my off season without that. So I've learned a lot about myself.
And it was first time round.
It was first time round, yeah.
And it was different. Like again, it would have been different for you because second time round, with me for you, was with Christy and Lauren both prepping at the same time as well, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was chaos in that house.
It was chaos.
I think it was just chaos in general.
It was chaos. It was chaos.
That's why we've done it separately this time.
Well, it wasn't, but you also have to. I was also prepping as well.
Yeah.
There was all four of us.
Yeah,
It was chaos.
Interesting.
It was chaos. Yeah.
Don't think we'll be doing it like that again. Although we'll see. I might go at the end of the year.
Yeah, we'll see.
We don't get what
We'll
we
see how
want to
everything
get.
pans out.
Yeah. And I am currently
6 this weekend.
6 weeks out this weekend from the Sweden show, so that'll be exciting.
And that's booked now. So that's in.
Yeah, that's in.
Locked
all
in.
done, ready to go. Bikinis on the way. Exciting.
Did you get done for that as well again?
No, I bought for Christmas. I just paid for a bikini for her, but Mum also wanted to pay for a bikini, so I was like, we just need to like collaborate a bit, yeah. Because she's going to get 2 bikinis, she doesn't need them, but then she said she wanted 2 anyway. So me and her mum are skint now.
Yeah.
What's her name? Susie.
Susie, Susie at Miss Bikini
She
Fitness.
sees Christy coming. She's like,
Yeah, she does. Yeah. Do you know what's so
How
funny?
many shows you doing? 8. That's 8 bikinis for me. She can't wear the same one twice.
I said to Danny, I was like, oh, I'd love to be sponsored by Susie. And he was like, she wouldn't sponsor you anyway. You literally pay for her house.
You pay a mortgage.
Yeah, literally. But yeah, fair. I think that's a good point.
If you're watching, sponsor her.
Yeah, please, Susie, please. It would save Danny a lot of money. So we all put a question box on our Instagram now that we've all introduced ourselves for anonymous questions for us to kind of have a debate about. And I think a good one, and this one's more so aimed, well, all of us can talk about it, but Jake would probably have more of an insight into whether this is what he thinks on this anyway. How many competitors do you think use performance-enhancing drugs but pretend to be natural?
Do you know what? I think it is an interesting question, and I'm intrigued as the person who answered this if who asked this if they're actually assisted or not. I think there's probably, I don't actually think there's an element of that many people that necessarily like really lie. Yeah. I think like, you know, and someone who, you know, coaches a lot of people, you know, I wouldn't say like, I'd probably say if we talk about a female perspective, probably I'd say 50-60% are probably assisted. Yeah. But I think when you talk about assisted, there's obviously very much the difference between whether somebody's going to use Clen or whether they're going to use an androgen, you know, drug. And I think, you know, 80-90% will use Clen. Yeah. And I think people will probably be quite open to probably talking about the usage of that.
It's not associated with like males.
It's not taboo as well.
Yeah, it's not, you know, because ultimately the side effects of using it are nowhere near as, you know, they're not going to have the same impact of what an androgen drug would have.
I think a lot of women see it as it's just a fat burner as well, whereas the other one can have future side effects forever. Yeah,
and that's it. And I think, you know, I think there'll be people, I do think people will lie about it, yeah. And I think a lot of people will just choose to hide it. You know, I think the industry is certainly becoming a lot more open. Mm-hmm. You know, definitely amongst the male population. Yeah. You know, how many males do you see post their updates now and they'll talk about, you know, the amount. I do think there'll be guys that will probably potentially lie about the amount of drug usage they are. Yeah. You know, because I see a lot of people talk about their dosages now, you know, and I'm like, they're talking about not even using like a gram, for example, and I'm like, come on, like you're definitely using more than a gram, you know. When people say I've never used Trend, like, come on, you have. Yeah, you can tell. You know, so I think people do try and downplay it, but I don't think there's many people that will necessarily lie about it. I just think they'll try and hide it.
That question, if it goes into like if they lied about it and if they competed as a natural.
That's like, if you're doing that, you're an idiot.
Yeah, 100%.
You have to do like polygraph, don't you? But then if you don't know that Clen is technically a performance, I know it is, but
yeah. And do you know what?
If you didn't honestly know and you answered that polygraph, you would be telling the truth because you would say, no, I've never used a performance enhancing.
Because you could use androgens like years before and then.
Well, and there is a rule now. I can't remember. I think there is, if you've used androgens in the past or you've used something in the past, and I think it's 3 years or something now.
Is that it?
Or it might be a little bit longer, but it's not a lot.
Yeah.
Might jump in the natty scene in a few years.
Yeah, like, and I totally don't agree with that.
No.
It should be
I think if you've used, if we just keep referring to androgen, but if you use that type of drug at some point,
Yeah.
I believe you shouldn't be allowed.
it's going to change your
Yeah, I
cells
agree.
forever,
Yeah.
isn't it? It's
Yeah.
not.
Yeah, and I think whereas like, if we're talking about, just as we're talking about the natural, going into natural show, like, do I think that if somebody used Clen 2 years ago or a year ago, and they went into a natural show now and didn't use Clen, do I think they should be allowed? Probably.
Yeah, I agree.
I would never allow that. But I think the rule should state there is certain types of drugs that if you've used in the past, I think there's a fine difference. Clen does have benefits of building muscle, but it's not going to, at the point of when you're using it in a prep, like if you used it 2 years ago, have you got a significant advantage over somebody that is not, over somebody that's using it? Like, no.
Yeah.
You could argue that gals that have got PCOS, as an example, have a far greater chance
Yeah,
of
for sure.
building more muscle, where they will have a better chance of building muscle, but they're still natural.
Yeah.
If you had a choice of, say, for example, a natty person using Clen, or somebody who's got PCOS that's got, a testosterone range that is well out of the reading. If
Yeah.
I had a choice of who I'd be going against, I'd definitely take the person who's using Clen.
Yeah, I agree. Where do
so-
I get some PCOS from?
Yeah, so I think there's some, I know we've gone off tangent a bit, but I think there's a lot of differences about, what should be allowed and what shouldn't be allowed.
Yeah.
But I think when we think about that question, I think a lot of people will be more just avoidant about wanting to ask it or answer it.
Yeah, I think
I think that comes
if
down
you
to
take that
personal.
question around not competitors as well, just the average gym, like John at the gym,
Oh,
it's like, it's going to be huge.
Yeah.
it's crazy.
Probably
Like,
like
especially
70%.
amongst the male population, it's wild.
Yeah.
Like, you'll get a guy that decides he's just going to just start the gym, and straight away that's the answer.
Yeah, I get
Yeah.
asked it a lot.
Yeah,
Like,
I do
get
as well.
people sign up, don't I? And I'm like, they've just asked me about this, and I'm like, they're not going to last, because I say no. I say, why don't you just stick to the diet for a month first?
Yeah.
We'll see. And then they're like, cancel my membership. And I'm like,
It
You need to
is
stick to
crazy.
it.
It's definitely amongst, because, the thing is, it's one of them difficult things, isn't it? Because if you have an opportunity to get to an end goal and you can bypass and make it quicker and more
yeah,
effective,
just a shortcut, isn't it?
it's a shortcut. People, if you're gonna, if you're gonna drive around this island and I'm trying to get to over there and I've got to go over this way or this way, I'm gonna go that way, aren't I?
Probably get lost though.
It'll probably get lost. Definitely get lost. But yeah, I think coming back to the question about the point, I do think there is an element of people that will definitely lie about usage. I think, and lie about it to an extent, but I think a lot of people is more just around an avoidant. I think
What percentage would you put on it? Competitors.
that lie.
Yeah, they not even natural ones, the ones that go into a, say, a PCA open show and they just say, I'm natural. What percentage?
I reckon probably 20%. I reckon.
20 lie.
Yeah, maybe if that's out.
I reckon maybe 20 for women, but for men, I'd probably say it's about 50.
Do you really reckon?
Yeah.
In terms
Yeah.
of
They'll
usage.
take something, won't they?
Yeah. Okay.
They'll take something, even if it's like a psalm, and they're like, "Oh, yeah, it's not cheating."
Yeah.
It's it's still.
That's
performance.
that's a whole different ballgame.
Yeah,
that
yeah.
is. The people that will use psalms as naturals but won't go
They
near,
see it on TikTok.
won't use delta. It's like, come on,
Yeah.
really? That is an interesting one, but yeah, I reckon. I think that the females. I think the reason why the females probably. I think there probably is a part of them maybe being ashamed of using, because of the side effects
Bit taboo,
that
isn't
come
it?
with it. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
I think
again,
a lot of the time it's to do with like not actually being asked, because you're not lying about it if you've not talked about it.
yeah,
That
yeah,
makes sense.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's what I say. People who avoid it.
Yeah.
I can guarantee if people put a question box up that are assisted, that are female, and they get asked the question, the high probability is they'll just not answer the question.
Yeah, for sure.
No, it's not, and then they're not having to put
Yeah.
themselves in a position where they either feel like they're exposing themselves or they're lying.
Yeah.
You've also got sponsors as well, the pressure that comes with that. So some of them can't say that they take certain things, can they? So they just don't talk about it.
Yeah.
And if they're asked, they just dismiss it.
Yeah, I do.
Like Ryan Terry, have you ever heard him talk about
No,
it?
never.
Because Gymshark and My
Yeah.
Protein would be like, see you later.
Yeah, I do think the industry is becoming better at being more open about it though, because it gets to the point now, especially we do see it amongst the females though, where it can get quite obvious, because if they've been guided incorrectly, I had an example of somebody who had told me that in the past they'd used like Anavar as an example, and as a female was using 50 milligrams. Like that's a male dosage, and over an 8-week period, that's going to be a bad day.
Yeah.
you know, so
filling up that cup more and more and more.
Yeah, like, and it's stuff like that where it's like, that's like, wow, you've got given that kind of advice. Like, that's, wow.
It's simply outrageous.
Yeah. And as we know about females also that have been given Superdrol.
Yeah, we won't mention any names.
Yeah, we won't mention any names, yeah. Right, okay. Next one we will do is, have you ever had a client get too flirty or inappropriate with you? And how did you deal with it, if yes?
This does happen, yeah.
Does it?
Yeah.
I ended up marrying mine.
Yeah. It does happen, yeah. And I think it's difficult because what I find the big problem is with this in particular.
Is this men or women?
Both. what I find the main problem with this one is that when you're in this position as a male where you're coaching females and ultimately they are hiring you to change their body composition.
Yeah.
And if they are someone who is very insecure about how they are looking, and week on week they are continuously being complimented on the change in their physique.
Yeah.
And you know the like how they've done for the week. You know, if you have someone who is sticking to their diet, is doing what they want them to do, and they are continuously getting great feedback from a guy.
Yeah, they kind of
they warm to it, don't they?
That they do, and it can be. That's when it can become quite difficult, and it is difficult at times to try and separate, trying not to be overly nice, but wanting to give someone like praise because of how well they've done.
Do you ever just want to turn around to them and be like, you know, we could do with a little bit more work on here, just to kind of dumb down a little bit? You know?
I can't think of that particular example, and I wouldn't say like. Probably actually a couple of times where it's been like someone's point blank like put it on me, and you do have to have that awkward conversation, but it is quite. I must admit I do struggle to not be overly nice to someone.
Yeah.
Because that's just the person and character I am.
Yeah.
And I think I probably, as you both will know, by the relationship that we have and the relationship that we have, that I build a friendship with people, and I will try and do that with a lot of people, whereas you will have other coaches that will not be like that.
Yeah.
You know, 100%. Like I stand by that. I think the reason why my retention is as good as it is because I build rapport with people, and I want to know, you know, what their hobbies are, what they get up to on the weekends.
Yeah.
You know,
where they work.
Yeah, like I want to understand that, because I think if you have a better if you have a better relationship with that person, then the coaching relationship will also be better. You know,
agreed.
And they're likely to be less stressed. You know, if you've got a coach, for example, where if you don't do what you're supposed to do, they're going to turn around to you and speak to you like an idiot and tell you need to pull your finger out your ass.
Yeah.
Then the likelihood of them wanting to stay on and keep doing what you're asking them to do is highly not likely. But if we've got someone where I'm, you know, being nice to someone and they're actually looking forward to checking in, then I think it builds a better relationship. So, you know, and pretty much a lot of my best friends that I now have come from my coaching relationships.
Yeah, for sure.
I think you end up becoming that person that if something good happens to them or bad happens, you're the person they'll tell immediately.
Correct.
So like when we got married, we sent you like our wedding photo like straight away, didn't we?
Yeah.
Yeah,
that
kind of thing. Yeah.
It's like, I've already sent it, that sort of thing.
And it is that's what it's like. And you know, I'll still stand by that. So there's some people that would say that that's not the right way to be, and it needs to be very formal and strict, but that's just not how I want to run things.
Yeah.
And that probably in terms of the question is, that's probably the disadvantage that I probably do have in them scenarios where, you know, because I am so nice, someone may actually take that the wrong way, and then might insinuate that because I am being as nice as I am, that they almost forget the reason I'm being that nice is also because I'm your coach, but I'm trying to be your friend.
Yeah.
Whereas they might almost like, you know, if say for example you take a coaching relationship out of it, and I'm, you know, someone sends me a photo and I say, yeah, you look great. That would be a form of like almost like that. That is a form of like a flirting, you know.
Yeah.
If you know, when you two first met, as an example, if Christy sent you a photo and you replied and like, yeah, you look great,
Yeah.
Like,
Glutes look amazing.
Yeah,
I'm
you know,
like,
Hands are on
"Woo,
point."
yeah.
yeah, like you
Yeah.
it is very similar.
It is
And I think
similar
when
facts.
people can then forget about that, the coaching side of things,
Yeah.
that's when it becomes difficult. And I would say I do have that as a difficult thing in that.
So on that question then, you've had someone do it, how did you deal with that? Think of one scenario where it's happened. That's obviously the person's hopefully not watching and thinking that's me.
I'm just trying to think. Yeah, I need to be very careful with it. I can't really think if I can think of a specific. Yeah, I can't.
We'll come back to that one.
I'm just
Have you
trying.
ever? I'm sure you've had a few male clients that are quite.
Flirty.
Yeah.
I've had that. I've had that before.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Well, I thought my coach was gay at one point
Yeah.
because he used to be like,
We both
looking.
did.
What, me?
Yeah.
What?
We were saving this for we listen and we don't judge. What are you
Me
doing?
and Aaron were having this conversation. I was like, does Jake let you check in? And he says, big sexy boy.
Yeah.
And Aaron's like, yeah, sometimes. And I'm like, do you think he's gay? And then I was like, we've never had a girlfriend, but then you obviously got a girlfriend like last year, so we were like, you can't be
Oh
gay.
yeah, because I
Yeah.
suppose since you two would have known me, I hadn't
No, you
hadn't
had
been in a
one.
relationship.
So I genuinely thought that you were gay all the way up until that point.
If you knew what I got up to in them periods, you definitely wouldn't say that. We'll have a few more conversations later,
Yeah.
and after you.
That is so funny. Okay, right, we'll move on. What is one piece of brutally honest advice for a first timer? If I can take that first one, I would definitely recommend getting a posing coach. That's probably my first piece of advice to do, is to learn how to pose. Like, that is hands down.
It's dead awkward when you
The
see
best
someone
one.
like stood there and they just don't know how to pose. Or they're like,
Do you know
Yeah.
what? I agree, but do you know what? The worst one that really bugs me is when you've got someone with an absolutely phenomenal physique. They've dieted, they're peeled, they're inside out, and they get up there and they can't showcase it.
Yeah.
It is the worst. I just sit there and I'm like, why?
Yeah, because you could have the best physique up there.
Yeah.
And if you can't present it, then
Like I still have it now. You know, there'll be people that will watch this that will know that this is referring to them. But like, I've had people where they'll sign up and I'm like, right, we need to get sort of posing. They've never done it before. They're like, yeah, I've booked him 5 sessions.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, is that a month?
Yeah.
No, 5 sessions for the whole thing. What do you think you're going to do in them 5 sessions?
Yeah.
Like you're going to learn the absolute bare minimum.
Yeah.
Within that period. Yeah, I mean, that is definitely, that's right up there. I mean,
Yeah.
because I suppose when we're saying about brutally honest, like, if you can't do that, you're fucked.
Yeah, there's no point. There's
Yeah.
absolutely no
that
point.
ties into my advice, which would be make sure you're financially stable, because
Yeah,
the cost
because it's
of a coach-
expensive.
Say your coach is 200 quid a month and then your posing's, I don't know, 50 quid a lesson for 40 minutes or whatever. You add that up, say you do one a week, because I was doing one a week running into my show. So that's like, you're spending like 400 quid a month just on like that
Just on
coaching
that.
side.
Yeah.
Plus,
Yeah.
You've got
plus
as a
bikinis.
bikini,
Plus your bikini, your
Unless you've
makeup.
got a
your-
husband that pays for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, unless you don't. Yeah, my board shorts are like 60 quid, so they're not that expensive.
Well, it depends if you have to go to Sports Direct in the middle of the
Yeah.
afternoon.
Yeah, that's so
They
true.
were so cheap. They were like 11 quid.
You loved
Or
them as
yours.
well. They were like your favourite pair, weren't
Yeah,
they?
they were.
From the kids section.
Yeah. I look the best. That's my favourite stage photo. And I'm there with like a pair of like 9 to 12 kids pants.
I remember that. I know we've gone off tangent a bit, but I want to because it's funny. I remember that day in Ireland, and I knew that there was going to be a possibility you was going to do it. I knew there was be, and it was. And then you sending me a message in the car going to the Sports Direct, and then you're
I say
sending me.
standing, didn't I?
He's standing in the mirrors in Sports Direct, lifting his top up with these different trunks, and like, what do you think of these? What do you think of these?
I went in and went, do you have any Billabong shorts or like surface
And
shorts?
I remember. I think I
So
was.
for context, Christy was competing in Ireland and I was not competing. And we went to registration and he said, why aren't you competing? I seen you last week on another show. And I said, I'm here to support her. It's her show. And then he said, there's only 3 people in your category. And I was like, oh, so I'll get 3rd place, worst case scenario. I might as well do it. So I went and asked her and she was like, yeah, just go and do it. We'll just get a tan now. And then we were like,
I
she
didn't
G'd
think
me
that
up.
you
And
were going to do it
the
though.
plan was
She
that
G'd
you
me up,
wasn't
though.
going to do it
Yeah.
all along.
She G'd me up. I thought she'd be like, no, this is my show. Close it down. But she was like, go and get the tan then.
I think
and
I
we'll-
was so fragile by that point. I was like, I can't even be bothered arguing with you.
And then it was just the photos.
I
was
went and
just,
shaved in Costas. I've got a
Yeah,
video on
Yeah,
my
you
phone.
did. Yeah, shaved
So I had to
in
use,
Costa.
because it was a disabled toilet, there was no sink in there. There was like a baby changing thing. And there was there was a sink but no mirror. So I had my phone propped up and I was using that to make sure I got all the hairs Went to TK Maxx, got the sports. No, it was Decathlon.
Decathlon, that was it,
Decathlon's
yeah.
where I got the shorts. Then TK Maxx, I got the razor, and I'm shaving in the toilet, and then I had to go back and get tanned. And then when I got
remember
him,
that.
you said to have like 200 grams of cereal, but I couldn't eat that because she was asleep. So I had to go outside and sit on the driveway and eat dry cereal.
Did you sleep on the floor as
I
well?
slept on the floor in the kitchen because I didn't
On
want to
the
go and
hard
wake her up
tiles because he was snoring.
with a duvet cover. Not a duvet cover, with a towel. That was a fun trip.
Some memories in that weird Airbnb.
But yeah,
as
back
well.
to the question. Financially stable for it.
Yeah,
would be-
financially stable.
There's
Yeah.
the cost of all that, but then if you're from the Isle of Man, you've got the cost of getting to the UK, the cost of
Yeah.
travel, Airbnb, all that sort of stuff. It's not just I'll show up on the day. It's 50 quid to register. Maybe if you live in the UK, you could probably get away with it a bit cheaper, but
It's still going to be expensive.
it's still expensive because you've got your tan. It's like 90 quid. You've got tan stage photos. Presumably, if it's your first time show, you're going to want photos of it, so that's another 100 quid.
Yeah.
Then you might want a video if they've got a video as an option. The membership for the actual federation, then the show, then each category. Yeah, it's expensive. It soon adds up.
I think while we're, as you mentioned about the financial stable thing, as a coach, like for me to say to people that are listening, the one thing I keep saying to people at the moment is stop booking your shows like 4 months in advance.
Yeah, in advance.
Like especially Two Bros, like it's expensive. If you choose to do 3 classes as an example, it's going to cost you 450 quid.
Yeah.
Like I've got people that are like competing in October and they're like, oh, should I book my show? I'm like, absolutely not. You've never done this before. Like
Yeah.
you don't know. And this is like, I think the 2 points you two have both made, I think are great. If I'm going to choose something else to be different, like make sure you've done a diet before you do this.
Oh yeah, for
Yeah,
sure.
at least to like photo shoot conditions.
Correct. Like
Yeah.
the amount, because people that haven't never done that, like they're going to never experienced any of these feelings and emotions
Yeah.
at any point in their life. Like, don't get me wrong, there'll be like sadness, like when you've had someone pass, but it's just different. You both know it's
Yeah.
different.
Yeah,
Like
it's a
you're going to
different-
feel hunger that you've never felt before. You're going to feel so restricted that it's going to drive you wild. You're going to have sleepless nights. You're going to be walking around like you literally feel dead. Like, and all of those different things could be a reason why you're not going to do it.
Yeah, like I try and put this into perspective for people that even want to do a photo shoot, and I try and explain it, and I'm like, I wish I could just give you for an hour of how I feel when I'm like 2 weeks out.
Yeah.
And then if you can handle that for the hour,
Yeah.
without cheating on your diet, without breaking into tears, without throwing a tantrum in the gym, which
Yeah.
I do anyway.
Yeah.
But,
Every time.
Like, yeah, every time, every prep.
It's-
It's
it is-
Aaron's turn this year to take the abuse.
It's true. It is true though. Like, and I just think so many people, they just walk into it and think it's just going to be a doddle. And I see so many. I mean, as an example, for the first show of the season next week, I had 6 from the start. I'm down to 2 now.
Really?
Yeah. You know, and you know, some people have pulled out for not necessarily
Some people might
those
not be
reasons.
Yeah.
Coming in time either, and then you've
Yeah,
got to try and
and you might
pay
have to move it back. And yeah, you know, most of the federations will let you move it, but even so, like,
I do think that's the federation's fault, because when you look at PCA, it's like 95% full, and you're thinking, right, that's a show I want to do. I'm going to lose my space.
and especially the first timer shows.
Yeah.
they're always the ones that fill
First
up
timers
first.
and the
Yeah.
natural shows are all the ones that seem to
Fill
fill
up
up
first,
really
yeah.
quickly, like 80% full, and it's like September.
Mm.
So I can see why people do it, even if they've got to pay 100 quid.
And I think it's PCA
Yeah,
is only like
PCA is
80,
cheap, isn't
80
it?
90
Yeah.
quid or whatever it is, I think, when you're doing both. Like, so, yeah, granted, you don't want to lose that, but if you go and do 500...
those shows aren't as busy as some of the PCA shows.
Yeah. And Two Bros, just so, again, people that know, Two Bros will never sell out. If they go on till 12 o'clock at night, they'll go on till 12 o'clock at night. So you don't need to book it. Because it's just, yeah, you can just waste money. The amount of I guarantee if you picked 100 people that said they were going to compete in September, how many of them actually make it? I guarantee it. I guarantee it's less than 20%.
We have people that sign up saying, I want to do a show, and then Christy had one that she put onto like a mock prep, and the first weekend she went out drinking, and Christy's like, you can't do this is a mock prep. Like, she wouldn't do a cardio, said it was too, didn't have time, you know, like that sort of stuff. If this is a
Yeah.
mock prep,
Yeah,
I've had a few.
I've
so
even
you
got
just
people...
have to pull the plug, 'cause
yeah.
you know that they're going to, if they start to feel tired, they're going to say, I didn't have time, or whatever it might be.
Yeah, I've
it.
got people in that have been in prep over the last few months that they'll check in and be like, oh, I've not eaten this meal and I've missed 2 cardios this week, and I'm like, you can't just miss
Actually,
it. It doesn't
can't
work like
even
that.
Fathom that,
You just can't do that. It doesn't work like that. And if
See, I'd
it-
never say that to you. I'd never be like,
I've not done my cardio.
yeah,
I've
or
not
I've missed
eaten
my
a meal.
steps, because
Yeah.
I just presume, like, or you presume that that's going to get done.
I
you
don't
know,
even,
after
I
that.
don't,
Yeah.
like when have
the
I
clients
asked you
we
if you've
coach-
done your cardio?
Never.
But the clients that we coach,
I feel like
it's
you
very
would know
different.
anyway.
I just
like,
don't ask. I don't need to ask.
Yeah, like,
I don't need to ask if you've done
it
it.
only
Or-
benefits me. It doesn't benefit you if I do my cardio. Like
Yeah.
in terms of like I want to get
if you want to
on stage.
progress, like I just, and that probably is a big difference between like your clientele to mine. Like, I don't have questions with people that is like, have you done your cardio?
Yeah.
I couldn't tell you the last time I said to someone, have you done your steps?
Yeah.
Like if you are a competitor and I'm having to ask that question, you're not going to be, you ain't going to go very far.
Yeah.
The same as, you know, if you're, you know, I'm not going to ask you if your food's been on track.
Yeah.
Like the only things that I'm going to be looking for, that I'm going to want to know is like sleep, digestion, because those are the things that are going to, they're going to be the things that, exactly. You can't guarantee that you can
like,
sleep.
how's your strength been? And
The things that,
have you still got DOMs from legs yesterday? Like that sort of stuff.
exactly, the things that you don't have a choice over ultimately, whereas you have a choice over doing your food, doing your cardio, doing your steps. And I'm not going to ask that.
Yeah, and our clientele is very different in that.
Yeah.
They'll say I stuck to the diet 1 day out of 7, and I went to the gym on Monday, but I didn't go all week.
Yeah.
Because my dog had diarrhea, or whatever the reasons might be, they'll come up with a reason to not do it. So yeah, we have to micromanage our clients a lot differently to competitors.
Yeah, it's just a different
Different
pool of clients, isn't it?
Yeah, each one has their swings and roundabouts though.
Well, competitors are just
for sure. Because I would imagine that competitors are, in a way, sometimes a little bit more difficult to manage because there's egos and there's the emotional side of things. Because I actually don't think that prep's that difficult physically. I think mentally and emotionally, it sucks the life out of you, and you take a lot of that on for people. Because I know you do that for me, 100%. Something's going on with me, I'm like, right, Jake, this is happening.
I'm the person,
You know,
I'd agree with that,
yeah,
that is the
I just say you'll speak to Jake.
Well, yeah, it is though, because I don't know.
It's true though, but you're probably not the person to be able to.
She wouldn't believe me if I said.
Yeah.
She'd say, you're just saying that. I'm like, I was going to ask Jake then.
It's because you're the closest person to her.
Yeah.
And a lot of people's automatic in that scenario where they'll just think, well, they're just going to say that to keep me happy, even though that's not the case. People will think that is the case when it's not. Yeah.
Yeah, the mental toll is more than the physical. Why does it? So why do I have to diet on 1,000 calories, but I see other girls dieting on 2,000? Go. Let you answer that one.
I suppose it just depends on the person, their body mass, their output, what they do for work. You do 15,000 steps a day, your head case, but you're also very active in the day.
I also don't get to eat that much food though. Like I'm not genetically blessed. I think
if you were just dieting to gradually lose weight, you'd probably lose weight on like 1,800.
Yeah, maybe.
Something like that if you wanted to lose, but you're obviously going for a completely different, yours isn't normal weight loss, yours is an extreme.
Yeah.
It's the extremity of weight loss.
Yeah.
The thing that people need to understand about this is everyone is different.
Yeah, for sure.
And that is it. And you will get people that will boast on social media that they're doing less cardio and they're on loads of food, but that's just because that's how their body works.
Yeah, they might have more muscle mass.
Yeah.
Because Christy complains when we're both on prep together and I'm on like 1,900 and she's on 1,000. And I'm like, yeah, but my body is burning through that the same rate yours is. So I feel equally
as hungry.
As
for sure.
Yeah, and I always give the example, like sometimes people will say, what you like to me, like you get on stage you can diet on like up to 2,500 calories. I'm like, yeah, but I also eat 5,500, 6,000 in my off season.
Yeah.
You know, and so that's the same as someone dieting on 1,500 and eating 3,000 in their off season.
Yeah, for sure.
But everyone is so different, and that is the point. Like I've literally got, because I think what people think is like, oh, it must be that coach just specifically hammers people, and there will be coaches that do hammer people more than they need to. But if I look across let's just say like the range of athletes that I've got competing in the next 6 weeks, you included in that, right? You know, if I look at someone like Marsha at the moment, unfortunately she is on 1,800 calories and no cardio right now. She's very fortunate in that position. You know, if I look at Katie, who's doing the first show next week, she's on about 1,000. She is on about 1,000 calories at the moment. You know, but then Katie can eat 4,000 in her off season. Her maintenance window is huge. You know, I look at like you, for example, like you're on about 15, I think, at the moment on training day. 40, I think about 14 actually.
I thought it was low.
Yeah,
I actually don't look.
Makes it sound like it's 500.
And and then if I look at Zaka, for example, she's on a similar amount to you, but not as much output. You know, everyone is different.
Yeah.
You know, but
You've always been stubborn. Yours has always been stubborn, though, hasn't it?
Yeah, but
the way you
what I tend to find is like Charles, another one actually. She's a great example. She literally will not start losing weight until she's down on 1,400 calories.
Yeah.
But in an off season, she can get to 3,200 and not gain a pound.
Yeah.
I think it's about like grabbing that bit, you know, especially for me, I'm like, I kind of don't build any traction and all of a sudden it just kind of grabs and then it's like, then it just starts dropping off.
Absolutely. And what's interesting about you this year is obviously when we did it last year, you'd done that initial diet before holiday.
Yeah.
And then we come back and kind of just went straight into the deep end.
Yeah.
We'd never had this reverse period where we'd reverse your food up. Your food was up to a point you've never had it before.
Yeah, for sure.
And it was like, okay, so on the way down, this is going to be a test to see is it going to move? Is it going to move quickly on the higher amount of calories, or actually are we just going to have to come back down to pretty much where we did last year in order to drop? And what it's proved is we are going to have to come back down.
Yeah, it is what it is.
And that is what I would say, especially amongst the female population, that is shit.
Yeah.
Is the right way to say it, because if you've got someone who has got for 6 months been used to eating 3,500, 4,000 calories, and then you know that they're not going to start dropping weight until they get down to the 15, 16, 17s, that's going to feel brutal, because you're going to go from a hell of a lot of foods down to a lot. And that's, I would say, probably one of the main disadvantages of doing a successful reverse diet, in that when you have to come back down again, it's hell. Whereas if you get some gals, for example, who don't have a successful reverse and end up in their off season only on 2 to 2.5, because they've gained too much body fat and you don't want to push them anymore, actually they probably are not necessarily more of an advantage because they've still got to get that weight off, but they're probably going to find that initial drop back into the deficit a lot easier than the gals who successfully reverse. And if I think about those that have successfully reversed for me, you know, if I look at you, Charles, Jade Hall's another great example, all three of you have got like 3,500 calories plus, but then you all have to get right into the depths of it.
Yeah. Okay, I've got a few rapid fire ones. One for Jake. Who is more difficult to coach, me or Danny? You can split it into off season and prep if you want.
So I was just going to do that. Who do I think is more difficult to coach? Off season, I'm going to say you.
Yeah.
But to be fair, I would say, and I've said this plenty of times on other podcasts before, from a prep standpoint, females are way easier to coach.
Yeah.
From an off-season perspective, males are way easier. And the reason for that is gals are way more resilient than guys. I don't care what anyone says. You can tell a gal to go and drink her own piss and do an hour on the Stairmaster, and she'll go jump to do an hour and a half.
Yeah, literally.
That's exactly the scenario. Whereas you tell a guy to go and do that, he'll tell you to piss off. So I'd say gals are always more resilient, is in that example. Yeah. And from an off-season standpoint, gals don't like to put on weight. Yeah. It's as simple as that. And that's probably where it's more difficult for you, because you don't want to put on you want to go on the muscle, but you don't want to put on the weight.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
So I'd say, from a off-season standpoint, he's a breeze in off-season. The only thing that makes Danny not even difficult in off-season, but the only thing that is difficult is just food changes. Yeah. But that's to keep his appetite, because he needs it. And I know how that feels, because I'm the same.
I know you can relate to that, because I'm like, I can't eat anymore, and you're like, yeah, same.
Literally all the time.
So then we're like, what are you eating? Put it in mine.
No, I'm just like, what do you want to?
A jar of honey every day.
And that's the thing I'll just say to him now with food changes. Like, I won't even make suggestions. Yeah. I mean, I did that other sauce the other week, but otherwise I'm like, what do you want to eat?
What is it you want to eat? Yeah.
Because I'm not going to just get. It's pointless me choosing. Like when people go, I don't want to eat this meal anymore. Can you swap it out? I'm like, yeah, I can, but what do you want?
Yeah, what do you want?
What do you fit? I'm like, you're telling me you don't want that meal because you've got no appetite. So what's the point of me choosing it?
Yeah.
You'll give them an example or an option, and they'll say, nah, I don't want that.
Oh, I look at their diet. I'm like, okay, well, you're eating salmon. I hate salmon. So clearly our taste buds are not the same.
Yeah, 100%.
So off season, definitely you're more difficult than Danny. In prep, I'd
still say me.
I'd say you're more difficult, but only in the sense of being ready.
Yeah.
That's the only thing. Like you want it now. The only thing with him that I'd say in prep where he's most difficult is his food focus is wild.
His food focus is wild, and when it's like,
I remember last year, literally when you was down over, the amount of times he must have told me about all the different whey and cream of rice flavours, because he was literally obsessed with them. He was literally so obsessed. Like, you need to try this whey, you need to try this cream of rice. I've got this cream of rice.
Yeah, you do it with cream of rice and you do it with whey as well.
Yeah.
I think we had about 7 or 8 different tubs open at one time.
Literally, creamy's whey and cream of rice was his.
Yeah, it was outrageous.
Yeah.
His food focus is crazy. And then also, like, show day, I find you really annoying.
I wasn't expecting you to say that.
No, he is, and like
I just get really like.
You're the most chilled on show day you've ever been.
Yeah,
Whereas
I'm just like it's,
for me.
He is the opposite.
You're right. It might be different this year because last year I was just like, well, he's more than enough of a handful. I'm just going to chill out here. There's nothing I can do about it now. But because it's going to be me on my own this year, maybe I'll be a bit more crazy.
I think which one thing I will say, which was probably. Like, he was like, I don't want you to all start crying, but he was so proud of you.
Yeah, he
out
was.
of the universe. And I think obviously because he was competing the same weekend, so
yeah,
emotions are well high anyway. Like on that day, like, and bless him, he was an absolute mess. I still remember when you won the universe, when you won your pro card, and I still remember him standing up, bawling his eyes out, just saying, "Everyone, that's my wife." And I'll literally never forget it.
Well, wasn't
I'll never forget it.
I was holding
and he was so buzzed about it, whereas you was just so like just no emotion, like just ready to go, and I was obviously a week out at this point as well, but I was very much with you, but I also didn't want to put stress on you by me being frantic.
Yeah.
And I remember when you'd won and we was waiting to go on for the pro show, me and Danny walked over to the side of the stage and he's fucking crying, buzzing off his nut, and you just went, "Get him away from me, please, just get him away from me. He's going to stress me out, please just get him away from me."
Yeah,
and I remember him just waiting there, just like so buzzing about it.
Yeah, I felt really mean for that, but I really needed it.
It was so funny. I just remember you go, "Please just get away from me for a minute."
I need to pump up, I need to know what to do.
But I think, that sounds bad that I say you. Because
I get it, to be honest.
No, because you're not, like, and especially this year you've been an absolute doddle. But the things that you make you not even difficult, but you want everything now. Mm-hmm. You want everything now, and I have to just not let you. Like, you probably notice it now when you say something. I'm just like, if you like want me to move now, I'm just kind of like, I'll just move on from it.
Yeah, he puts me in the box of shame.
I'm just like, we'll just carry on.
He's like, get back in your box, and I'm like, all right, okay, fine. I'm back in my box.
Because I have to not, especially because we're speaking every day.
Yeah.
But I have to not be so reactive to you, because if I'm reactive to you, you'd be on 700 calories by now.
Oh yeah, for sure. Well, that's why I've got you,
that's
though,
what
isn't
I mean.
it?
Absolutely.
Literally, because I would have absolutely. I'd have absolutely put myself into the ground by this point.
Yeah, 100%.
If I was coaching you, I'd feel, and that's why I passed her on.
Yeah.
Because she would emotionally
I used to just manipulate you, didn't I?
Yeah, she'd start crying, like, "I'm not going to be ready," and then I'd be like, "Right, okay, let's just put this in, and we'll just, what do you want to do?"
Yeah, what do you want to do? You just coach yourself.
Yeah, you just coach yourself.
And that's what I have to do. I have to just remember, like, sometimes I have to go, right, hang on, Jake, take a step back and
hang on, don't let him manipulate you.
Don't let her go. And I was really surprised actually the other day with the refeed.
Yeah.
I didn't think you was going to. I thought you was going to give me some pushback on it.
No, I thought I was going to die.
I really thought you was going to give me some pushback. I remember thinking, I'm going to tell her now, and she's going to be like, and you was like,
what, that she didn't want it?
I thought she'd say she wasn't going to have it.
Well, you said might get a refeed tomorrow on the Saturday, and then on the Sunday she was like,
she texted me.
I was like, are we doing it today or what?
And she went, "How many times has Jake said he was going to give you a refeed and didn't give you a refeed?" And I'm like, maybe just a couple of times trying to.
But then I didn't want to sit there and be like, "Hey, can I have a refeed?" Because I don't want to come across like that.
And the thing is, to be fair, it didn't, not through me, but I didn't expect the big weight drop that we got on the Sunday.
Yeah.
So in my head, I was like, we're not going to get a drop, and the reason why I want to put the refeed in is because it's going to kick us forward again.
Yeah.
And then we got the big drop, and I was like, And then when you said it, I was like, shall I? I was like, she's going to need it at some point. I was like, do you know what? We're going to go today.
I think I've pulled like 1.5 off since then.
Since Sunday?
Yeah, something like that, something crazy like that.
Yeah, we're nearly in the 59s now.
Yeah.
And
I know, because her and Lauren are about the same weight, that's why we were doing that.
Oh yeah.
We've been waiting for us to be the same weight.
Lauren's been about 60, and I was like, let me know when you're close to 60.
I actually looked this morning when you checked in this morning. So we are from the same weeks out period from the universe as we are now, you're half a kilo difference now.
Oh, really? So in my head, this is like how warped I am. In my head, I'm so much fatter at this point.
It's impossible. It's literally impossible.
I did a session this morning. I made her watch her lat pull downs.
And then I was like,
and
okay, yeah,
there's
maybe
like feathering in her lower back, and like she's got like Christmas tree doing like rows, and she's like, yeah, I'm pretty lean now. And I'm like, just pretty lean, yeah.
It takes a while for like your brain to catch up though, I think. When
But one thing I will say, that the distribution is different this year.
Yeah, 100%.
It is. You are holding more in the lower. Than you would have than previous. So which 100%. Is probably why because the thing is, we know that you're. I don't want to say insecurity, but your instant thing is your glute.
Yeah.
So you. I know when you take your check-in photos, the main thing you're going to look straight for is that.
Yeah.
That's what you're going to look for. So when you then look at something that's last year, you're going to go, okay, well that was there.
Yeah.
So where is it? But it's like.
But last year it was my midsection.
But then there's a distribution everywhere else.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's
You
different.
obsessed with your stomach last year. You were like, I've got excess skin.
Mate,
It's just your skin.
No,
do you know what?
don't.
And when we're going to go back to that question when we talk about who was more of a nightmare, and the specific example is Christy standing in that posing room. Look at me, I'm fat. Literally, there's like
grabbing this paper.
I remember
thing.
me and Danny just looking at each other, just like,
shut up.
Like what? Like literally had a right hissy fit that day. Literally had a right fit about. I'm fat. She's literally grabbing skin, and me and you just looking at each other like, fucking hell, mate, what's going on here?
I think that's a good point to raise though, like, because when you are shredded, you're so.
You don't see what's in the mirror.
You do not see what is there at all. Like, you can lose all the weight in the world and you still want more. You'll still want more. That just the goalpost moves and moves. I'd have like quite happily gone to like figure conditioning and still.
Yeah, and I think also what really warped it for you last year was PCA then to 2 rows.
Yeah.
That really mentally didn't sit well for you.
No, it didn't.
And again, what I think one of the problems that we did have with that is we did the first regional and we got told to be tighter.
Yeah.
And then we then came in tighter the week after, or 2 weeks after, I think it was.
I think it was only a week.
No, it was the 1st and the 15th.
It was 2. Yeah,
because we did the first, didn't we, together, and then it was the 15th.
Yeah.
And we got told the feedback on that day was just be a little bit tighter and you'd have won the overall. And we brought in tighter 2 weeks later, and then you was too tight.
I know, but I was absolutely shredded at that trip.
And it was like, you were literally like glute straight.
Yeah, it was mental.
Yeah, you had to try and soften the glutes, didn't you?
Yeah, we were trying.
What probably didn't help is going from the PCA condition to 2 rows.
She sadistically likes the PCA look more so.
Yeah. I just really like
the shreddedness.
Being extremely lean.
Yeah.
I do. I just think it's cool. It's so freaky. Like it's like, I don't know.
You're in the wrong category then.
Yeah, I am.
No, we're not switching. There's no switch.
No way. Okay. When is Jake going to prep Calvin right so he wins this pro card?
Do you know what? I actually don't have the art. I don't even know what to say in this scenario.
Yeah, I think it's an absolute shambles that he hasn't got it.
Yeah, and do you know what, right? It's funny because I was actually having a conversation with someone a few weeks back, not about Calvin, but like, and hopefully he never would, but in that scenario, you could argue that, would he be, obviously he's one of my best mates, so and he's not going to move on, but you could argue in that scenario, like, I know it's a jokey question, but you could argue, like, I haven't hit the mark. Like, well, I think I've hit the mark, but we haven't got the reward.
You might have had him in his best possible condition, and that's the best he's going to get.
Yeah.
And on the day, someone just comes.
That, but like, I've had a fair few opportunities at it now.
But it's not like he's finishing 5th.
No, he's winning and he's getting there.
And then he's like,
and it's like the first year was the feedback was he needs like to be bigger top line. And then this year we got the feedback of his top line is ready to go on a pro show. Like from the front, he's on the money.
His obliques too big.
And I don't even know.
His obliques were too.
But then a lot of the other feedback was his back needs too big. And if we look at it from front to back now, if we're saying it's a 50-50 shot, from the back he is weak compared to the front. When you've got someone who is extremely dominant from the front, but maybe not that good from the back, it shows. And I still argue he should have. I still think he should have won. I'm going to say that because I'm biased. But if you've got someone where you look at them and they're just very good from the front and good from the back, then that's great. But if you if an overall lineup, if Calvin's the best person from the front on that stage, but he's second to last in the back, and then you've got someone who's third from the front and third from the back, they're going to win.
Yeah,
because it's a
for
50-50.
sure.
You know,
It's all
judges
on
said to
scores,
us,
isn't it? So
judges said to us last year, it is 50-50. It's a 50-50 shot. You know,
Yeah.
so you can be as good as you want from a front, if the back isn't there. So, you know, you could argue. Yeah, you could argue. You know, I like to think I've hit the money with him, but you know, you could argue that have I? You know, and this year, for me, it's an absolute dead certain. And I don't think I've done anything wrong or prepped him wrong. I think it's just been shit luck. He has lost to the pro card winner, I think 8 times now.
Is it 8 times?
I think so. Yeah, there was I think
a lot of money.
5.
Oh, that is.
Yeah, it was 5 last season, and then the 2 seasons before, and then this season. So when he did Austria, there was 26 people in his class, and he was centre stage for 14 and a half minutes of the 15 minutes, and then got moved out and then lost to the winner. Khaled, who did the London show, beat him in his class and won the pro card. And then, what was the other one? Oh, actually, no, it was 2 this year, because in Italy and France he won his class in both, but then didn't win it. So, yeah, jokey question, but hopefully this year, I hope I'm not going to have to sit here and keep talking about it. And the thing is, it's now turned into a right joke in the gym. Like me, all the time, whenever Calvin tries to give back at me, and that's just like, yeah, but you've got shit back, mate. Like, and I'm like, actually, this is
I've watched that on YouTube. I think,
this
as
is
well.
my doing. Like, this is actually me that's doing this. But he's 5 kilos up from his heaviest last year, this year, and he is in better condition. So, and he's 122 kilos.
That is outrageous.
Is he taller than Aaron?
He's 6'5", Calv, I think.
Yeah, so he's taller than her.
Yeah, I think he is taller than, yeah. So he's 13, 14 kilos heavier than Aaron. He's a big boy.
So hope you've enjoyed the first part of the podcast. We are going to take a break, and then we're going to do a second episode. So if you want to catch the second episode, that should be released next week.